Hello students, hope the concepts which I delivered in the previous class is clear for you. In the previous class we have discussed about the structure of neuron and its physiology. Today we are going to discuss the organs related to nervous system. Which are the major organs related to nervous system? Yes, brain and spinal cord. So today we are going to study the important organ in our nervous system, brain. So let's start. Today we are going to discuss about one of the major organ in the nervous system, that is brain. Brain is considered as one of the most complex organ in our body. It coordinates all the actions in our body, so it is a very highly efficient organ made up of neurons. So in the last class we have already discussed about the peculiarity of neuron and how the neuron works efficiently in coordinating these actions. So they carry the impulses and they generate the impulses so that messages or impulses can be transmitted from one part of the body to another. So brain coordinates all the actions. So it is a complex organ in our body. Human brain weighs about 1.4 or 1.5 kg on an average, and the size may slightly vary and the volume may slightly vary, but an average is 1.5 kilogram. 2% of our body weight is the brain. So brain occupies about 2% of our total body weight. So children, let's study the important and interesting details of brain and let's see how it works efficiently and control and coordinates our body actions. Human brain. So children, let's study the various facts and details related to human brain under various subheadings. First of all, location. As you all know, brain is located in our head, that is anterior part of our body. So here you can see the location of the brain. It is in our anterior part of the body, that is in the head region. Next, moving to the protective structures, who all serve protective function in our brain. The first protection provided by a tough covering that is made up of bone called a skull. So body protection is provided with the help of skull. Secondly, the membranous protection provided by meninges. And finally, the fluid protection provided by cerebrospinal fluid. So altogether, three major protections: bony protection provided by the skull, membranous protection provided by the meninges, and fluid protection provided by cerebrospinal fluid. Let's look the details of each. This is the picture of a skull. In 9th standard also you have studied about joints and skeletal system, isn't it? So here you can see the skull is made up of 8 bones. The cranium or the skull is made up of 8 bones, but all are immovable. So our brain is well protected inside the case, that is the skull. Skull is also known as cranium. This is the side view of our skull, which also indicate the various joints. In the first picture you can see how the skull is connected to the vertebral column, and in the second picture you can clearly see the various joints. Actually it is known as sutures. Since it is tightly hold together, they are known as sutures. So skull is the protective bony case of the brain. Next is the membranous protection. Membranous protection is provided by a three-layered membrane called a meninges. Meninges is made up of three layers. In this picture, you can clearly see that the first layer of our head is scalp. The first layer is scalp. The second layer is the skull, which is the bony protection. And the next three layers beneath the skull includes the meninges. Actually, the three layer has got separate names: dura mater, then arachnoid mater, and pia mater. These are the three layers together known as meninges. And when you closely observe the pia mater, this is the most delicate layer of meninges, which is closely attached to the brain. In between the layers, the fluid is running in order to provide various functions such as nourishment, oxygen, etc. So, meninges acting as a protective membrane of brain. Meninges has three layers. Now, the fluid protection. The fluid protection is provided with the help of cerebrospinal fluid. The fluid looks as a watery fluid. It is filled within the inner membrane of meninges as well as ventricles of the brain. Ventricles means chambers inside the brain. Small chambers inside the brain is known as ventricles. So, where the fluid filled, most of the inner membrane of meninges as well as the ventricles of brain. And another peculiarity of the fluid is that it is formed from blood and reabsorbed back into blood. Do you remember last year also we have studied a fluid which is having same origin and return. What is that? Yes, lymph. Lymph is a fluid formed from blood and returned back to blood itself. Here also the CSF, that is cerebrospinal fluid, is formed from blood and reabsorbed back to the blood itself. Now let's see the function. See, the function is very, very important. It can be asked for 2 mark question 2. It provides nutrients and oxygen to the brain tissues. They regulate the pressure inside the brain. They protect the brain from injuries. So these are the 3 major functions of cerebrospinal fluid. Provide nutrients and oxygen to the brain tissues, regulate the pressure inside the brain, as well as protects the brain from external shock and injury. This is the picture showing the fluid, that is CSF. It's a normal CSF fluid, looks like a water. The flow of CSF, when you closely observe the figure, you can see that certain arrow marks are indicated here and there, which shows the circulation of fluid all over the brain. The circulation of fluid all over the brain. You can clearly see that the fluid is communicating with all the chambers, all the inner parts of the brain. So, CSF, cerebrospinal fluid, providing nutrients, oxygen, regulating pressure, and protects the brain from external shock and injury. Now, let's move to the detailed structure of brain. The major parts of brain are cerebrum, cerebellum, medulla oblongata, thalamus, and hypothalamus. So, 5 important parts we are going to discuss now: cerebrum, cerebellum, medulla oblongata, thalamus, and hypothalamus. Let's see each one in detail. So, when you observe the figure, you can see that the brain as a whole will have a larger part, that is the cerebrum. In the cerebrum, you can see lot of convolutions and fissures. Fissures means deep foldings. Deep foldings or highly complicated convolutions are called fissures. In order to accommodate maximum number of neurons, they are highly folded in nature, and so that they can accommodate maximum number of neuron. It increases the surface area of neuron, which indicates the efficiency of our brain. So cerebrum is the largest part. The second largest part is the cerebellum, which is seen at the near the base, which is also have some grooves, but not as much as the cerebrum. And the last part or the basal part is the brain stem. So outer region is visible only like this: cerebrum, cerebellum, stem. The cerebrum is divided into two hemispheres. Hemispheres means two partitions, the right as well as the left. So for the sake of easiness, here it is indicated in a color: the right hemisphere and the left hemisphere. They are not separated apart, but they are in close contact with the help of a nerve tract called corpus callosum. Here also you can see the back view of our brain, the left hemisphere and the right hemisphere. There is a nerve tract connecting, holding the two hemispheres together, is called a corpus callosum. Behind you can see this blue color region, that is the cerebellum, which is smaller than cerebrum, and the basal part, medulla oblongata. Now let's see the peculiarity of cerebral hemispheres. As I said earlier, the hemispheres are divided into left and right. Each part is confined to certain functions. For example, the left hemisphere, they concerned with sensory stimulus from the right side of the body. So left side controls the right body part, whereas the right side controls the left body part. That is the peculiarity. Then motor control of the right side of the body, speech, language and comprehension, analysis and calculation. So your max will be loaded in the left hemisphere. Then time and sequencing. Sequencing means order. When you study, for example, history and all, the various events in a chronological order will be memorized with the help of your left brain or left hemisphere of the cerebrum. Then recognition of words, letters and numbers, all are with the help of left hemisphere. Similarly, the right hemisphere too have so many functions. They already control the left side of the body, sensory and motor parts. Then creativity, your artwork, creativity, everything comes under the right hemisphere. Then spatial ability, then context and perception, then recognition of face, places and objects. So identification is done with the help of right hemisphere. So right and left together coordinate all the activities of our body. That's why they are large in size when compared to other parts, since they control all the minute things that is happened in and around you. They have more number of neurons. That's why the cerebrum is large in size with lot of convolutions and fissures. Is it clear? Now let's see the cross section of our brain. Cross section means half section. That means when we cut the brain into two halves, the one half is depicted here. So let's study the structure in a detailed way. Please follow. The largest part of the brain is called cerebrum. The largest part is called cerebrum. Cerebrum has two parts, cerebral hemispheres, right and left, connected by a nerve tract called a corpus callosum. So cerebrum is the largest part. It have two hemispheres, right and left, connected by a nerve tract called corpus callosum. The outer part of the cerebrum is grey color and inside it is white in color. Why they appear as grey and white? Because of the presence of myelinated and non-myelinated neuron. As we studied in the classification of neurons and in nerves, we have understood that based on the presence or absence of myelin sheath, there are two types of nerves, that is myelinated and non-myelinated. In the cerebrum, the outer or the peripheral regions are rich in gray matter, that is non-myelinated neuron. That's why they appear as gray in color. This part is known as cortex. And inside there is white matter, that means abundance of myelinated neuron, which give the appearance white color, and this part is known as medulla. So cerebrum is the largest part of the brain. It is divided into two hemispheres connected by a nerve tract called corpus callosum. Outer part is called cortex, made up of grey matter, and inner is made up of white matter known as medulla. Is it clear? Now coming to the function of cerebrum, they controls all the sensations, then voluntary actions. In addition to that, they also deal with imagination, memory, intelligence, etc. So very important part. Actually, the cerebrum has got so many areas which control the particular function. For example, there is an area for vision, for hearing, for coordination, like that. So that's why the large surface area provided to do various actions without any hindrance. So cerebrum is the largest part of our brain, composed of two hemispheres, right and left, connected by a nerve tract called corpus callosum. Outer part is called cortex, made up of grey matter. Inner is made up of white matter called medulla. Is it clear? Now, the second part is cerebellum. Second largest part of brain is cerebellum. It also have two flaps, not a hemisphere. Flap. Flap means a small structure but divided into two. So two flaps, presence of grooves and folds, they help in coordination of muscles as well as maintain body balance. So second largest part of our brain is cerebellum. It appears as two flaps. The major functions are body balance as well as maintaining the body balance as well as coordinates our muscular activity. The last part is medulla, known as medulla oblongata. The full name is medulla oblongata. It controls the involuntary actions in our body. Which are the involuntary actions? Heartbeat, bowel movements, respiration. All these are involuntary action. The actions which are not at our control or our wish and will. So the movement of blood inside the blood vessel, the beating of the heart, the bowel movements or the movement inside the alimentary canal are all examples of involuntary movements which are under the control of medulla oblongata. Here you have to keep in mind that unlike the cerebrum, in cerebrum grey is outside and white is inside, isn't it? But in medulla oblongata it is in a reverse way. Outside it is white matter and inside composed of grey matter. Structure in cerebrum outside grey and inside white, whereas in medulla oblongata outside is white matter and inside it is made up of grey matter. So all the involuntary actions are under the control of medulla oblongata. Then the next part is hypothalamus and thalamus. Thalamus act as a relay station and hypothalamus act as a center for homeostasis. Is it clear? Now let's study the importance of thalamus and hypothalamus. hypothalamus. Thalamus is located somewhat near the middle of our brain, that is close to the cerebrum. It acts as a relay station and sends the important messages to cerebrum. So thalamus is actually the part who receive impulses from various parts of our body, especially from the sense organs, but they sense only the important messages to cerebrum. Hence they are known as relay station. So they are acting as a mediator or an agent between the various body parts and cerebrum. Only the important messages are transmitted towards the cerebrum with the help of thalamus. So when we consume or intake a painkiller in order to subside our pain, actually the pain is still there. Since the thalamus is under sedation, with the effect of the medicine or the tablet that you have consumed, we won't be able to feel or sense the pain. That's why without the prescription or without the consultation of a doctor, don't take any medicine. Why? Because most of the painkillers act on the thalamus, and overconsumption may cause permanent damage to thalamus. So thalamus acting as a relay station. Now let's see the features of hypothalamus. Hypothalamus is situated below the thalamus region. It acts as a center for homeostasis. Homeostasis means maintaining internal equilibrium inside our body. Say for example, water balance, then emotions like anger and other emotions are under the control of hypothalamus. So hypothalamus acting as a center for maintaining homeostasis. Homeostasis means maintaining internal equilibrium in a normal way. The details of hypothalamus and the various secretions produced by hypothalamus that we will study in our third chapter. Okay. So in this figure you can see clear location of thalamus as well as hypothalamus. In order to study in an easy way, I have tabulated the whole thing in a table. Parts, features and function. Here you can see cerebrum, the first part. The features are, it is the largest part of our brain. Presence of fissures and fold. Fissures means intricately complicated convolutions. That means deep foldings and grooves, that is known as fissures. Then outer part is grey in color, known as cortex. Inner part white in color, known as medulla. So these are the features you have to study in relation to cerebrum. Now let's move to the function. It is a center of thought, intelligence, memory and imagination. They evoke sensation and they control all the voluntary movements. So cerebellum, the second largest part, having two flaps, contain fissures and grooves. The functions are muscle coordination or coordination of muscular activities and maintain body balance. The third part is medulla oblongata. The shape of medulla oblongata is rod shape, that is solid and somewhat cylindrical in shape. Outer region is made up of white matter and inner is made up of grey matter. It controls all the involuntary actions, example heartbeat. Then the next part is thalamus. It is situated below the cerebrum, act as a relay station and sends important impulses to cerebrum. So hypothalamus is situated below the thalamus and the major function is maintenance of homeostasis. Homeostasis means internal equilibrium. The water deficiency, the emotions, the thirst, all are under the control of hypothalamus. We will have a detailed study in our third chapter regarding this hypothalamus. So now let's see a poster creating awareness of wearing helmets. So as you all know, while riding a two-wheeler, helmet is important and government is imposing strict laws against those who are not wearing the helmets. Why? In order to protect the health and the precious life of the citizen. Isn't it? Poster to create awareness of wearing helmets. So as you all know, the importance of brain and the functions they carry out. So it is our duty to protect our brain safely when we ride the two-wheeler. So wear your helmet, safety first. Brain is priceless. Safe drive, safe life. Dear children, let's see how to draw the brain in an easy way. Here I am focusing to how to draw the structure in a simple way. So please follow the steps. The outline is the most important thing that you have to take care. For the outline, you can use two methods. First of all, you can draw with the help of a protractor. What is the shape of a protractor? Semicircle, isn't it? So almost similar to that shape, or you can follow by writing the letter from Malayalam alphabet, that is Ra. So if you are drawing a Ra of Malayalam alphabet, it should be an extended or stretched Ra. So here I am going to draw the outline. If it is difficult for you to draw a stretched Ra alphabet, then you can use a protractor. Okay? Which one is suiting for you, comfortable for you, you can adopt that method. So here I am going to draw a dome-shaped structure which is similar to the Malayalam alphabet Ra. Okay? Not a normal Ra, but a stretched one. See? Okay. So when you draw the structure, please keep in mind that one side is little more elevated than the other side. So here you can see the first one is slightly lifted upside and the other one is little down. That is the thing you have to keep in mind. So first we have to draw the outline. For drawing this outline, you can follow any method. Either simply draw a stretched Ra alphabet in Malayalam, or you can use a protractor for drawing the shape. Is it clear? Now, the next part of the brain, that is the brain stem, we are going to draw. For drawing the brain stem, you have to mark the middle of the figure, somewhat middle of the figure. Okay. So from the middle of the figure, the shape of a bird's head, slightly tilting towards the side, exactly similar to that of a bird's head, with a projection, and goes like a narrow tip. So a beak, a bulged head, and then a narrow part. Is it clear? And where you have to draw this part? Almost in the middle of the figure. Okay. Now, on the side of this, we have to draw the cerebellum. Cerebellum is somewhat heart-shaped structure, which is very familiar for you, like this. Okay. Then draw a middle line. Then as you draw the roots and root hair, make them so many branches. Draw as many of branches as possible in order to show the grooves and folds. In order to show the grooves and folds, draw the structure with maximum branches. Okay, is it clear? And where you have to draw the cerebellum? On the side of the brain stem. On the side of the brain stem. Now, coming to the next part, that is connecting this region with a bulged portion, two bulgings, and again covering the entire part till here, go back and finally join the main. Okay, this is the nerve tract which connects the two hemispheres. Two cerebral hemispheres are connected by means of this nerve tract. It's a thicker band-like structure, so we have to make it as a double line and show in the figure. Is it clear? So first of all, we have drawn a dome-shaped or a Ra alphabet, or using a stretched structure with the help of a protractor. Then from the middle, we have drawn a bird's neck-like portion with a beak, a bulged head and a narrow part. On the side, we have drawn cerebellum, and which is having the shape somewhat similar to heart shape, or you can compare the shape with a lotus leaf with so many veins and branches. Is it clear? Now, facing towards the beak, you have to draw two projections. Then, just above this head-like portion, draw a oval-shaped structure. So, almost our figure is over. Now, you have to modify and do the finishing work. Okay? So, let's do the finished brain. First, you have to rub certain regions. Outline should be rubbed. Okay. Then starting from here, make it as a grooved structure. In brain, you might have seen partitions. And in between you can rub. Here also. Okay. So when you draw this structure, the upper part should be bulged outside. Don't draw it as a flat structure. It is somewhat bulged outside. So draw the outline with the help of the dome-shaped structure. Is it clear? Now you can draw the foldings and convolutions of brain. Foldings and convolutions. Convolution means complex foldings, and it later lead to the formation of fissures. Fissures means deep folding. So here you can see some deep foldings which can be expressed in the form of some corrugated lines here and there. So many foldings and convolutions are there. So you can make it like this. Is it clear, children? So first of all, we have drawn an outline. From the center, we have drawn a bird's head-like structure, that is the brain stem. On the side, we have drawn the cerebellum, which has got a lotus leaf-like structure or a heart-shaped structure with so many folds and grooves. There the fissures are absent, convolutions are less when compared to the cerebrum. Okay. Then two bulgings we have drawn. Then we can connect the last part to the brain stem like here. And there also you can draw some convolutions. Is it clear? Now we can label the parts. Now let's see how to label the structure. First we have to label cortex. C-O-R-T-E X, cortex. Cortex is the outer part of cerebrum which is made up of grey matter. So in order to show the greyness, I have shaded here by giving dotted lines or shaded region. So you can also do it with pencil shading in order to show the cortex region which is made up of grey matter. Now next to is medulla. Medulla is made up of white matter. So inner region of the cerebrum is called medulla. So outer cortex and inner medulla together consist of cerebrum. So cerebrum is the largest part with lot of convolutions and fissures. Now the next part is cerebellum. Since I don't have space here, I have labeled here only cerebellum. Then the last part is medulla oblongata. Medulla oblongata. Then two regions, thalamus below the thalamus, hypothalamus. These are the 5 important labelings. Okay. So cortex and medulla together comprises the cerebrum. This is the largest part of the brain. Second largest part is the cerebellum. Then the last part or the base portion is called medulla oblongata. Then here we have drawn an oval shaped structure, that is the thalamus acting as a relay station. Below the thalamus there is another region called hypothalamus which is acting as a homeostasis center. The details of hypothalamus we will study in our 3rd chapter. So these are the 5 important parts of the brain. Is it clear, children? So
So dear students, hope the session is informative and interesting. See you all in the next session. Stay home, stay safe. Thank you.